guys, it's April and this is my wrap up. So as most of you guys know, last week was Read-A-Rama round 10 and I read some books. And this is where I'm going to talk about those books. Now normally I do a mid-month wrap-up and that's usually what I film right about now. But because of where Read-A-Rama hit this month, I've decided just to do the Read-A-Rama wrap-up, and everything I've read before I will do in the end of month wrap-up just to make my life a little bit easier, because I don't know where those first couple books this month are going to fit into my wrap-up schedule, and I didn't want to do a Read-A-Rama wrap-up and a mid-month wrap-up at the same time. It didn't make sense. But overall, Read-A-Rama went pretty well for me. I managed to, all of these ones plus one that I don't have in physical form. I did not think I was going to get 6 books read, but somehow I managed to sneak all of those books in there, and I hit quite a few of the challenges as well, so I'm really excited about that. So for the week of the Read-A-Thon, I did daily vlogs if you want to go check those out just to see how day by day things went. But overall, I really enjoyed this week of cramming all of the reading possible in. Also saw a couple movies in there, and I really enjoyed doing the Twitter sprint, so thank you for everyone who decided to come and join me. I hope to see more of you guys in the future because they are the highlight of the whole Read-A-Rama week for me. As for books, I started out completing the Author in Your State or Country with Tosca and the Lost Stories. This is a little short story bind-up that takes place in the Progeny series. Now this will make more sense if you've read the Progeny and Firstborn, because it takes some of the side characters and it gives a different perspective of some of the things that happened. I did enjoy this. I don't know why I didn't think to pick this up earlier. Actually, I do know why I didn't think about picking this up. Tosca is actually from my city, which fits this challenge perfectly, but I forgot that I had this and I was just moving stuff around on my shelf and I found it, so I decided to read this instead of what I originally planned. Then I picked up A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Originally this was going to be for my Rama challenge. I decided to change it up to the flower on the cover. You probably can't even see it from there, but there's flowers right here. I had to move things around to make things fit. Now this is a little, they call it a novella. It's short compared to everything else in this series. This takes place after everything climaxes in the original trilogy. Now it was good to see all of the characters again, but I struggle with why this book existed. There wasn't a consistent plot. There wasn't any development into anything really. You can see hints of things that might be coming later in the series, but overall there wasn't a lot here. Now maybe after the other books come out this will make more sense, but right now I'm just kind of left wondering a little bit. And then there was Penelope, Gilbert and the Children of Azure by Emily A. Stewart. This is my underrated book. I think there's only 50 or so odd ratings for this on Goodreads. I had received this in my post office box for review and I hadn't gotten around to it, so I decided I would pick this up. This is a middle grade read. It is the story of Penelope Gilbert, who finds that she can transform herself into different objects and different people. She accidentally discovers this power one day when she's sitting in class and turns herself into a stapler. Of all things, a stapler. After that, she finds that there are several people out to get her, and she ends up in the clouds in a steampunk type world. Now the concept of this story I really liked. And the fact that throughout this book is, let's see if I can find one, is little hand-drawn illustrations. I love when books do that. However, overall, a lot of the things were very tropey. They were all characters that I had seen before in stories come together in a little mishmash steampunk world. I think if I had been in the proper age demographic for this book, I would have really enjoyed it, but there was just little things here and there about the characters, about the storyline, about the cliche things that happen that just pulled me out of this world, made it a really slow read for me. There were points where I was struggling to continue on in this book, but I got it read. There'll probably be a full review on this on either Goodreads or here on this channel. I haven't decided yet. I then picked up Squire by Tamara Pierce. This is part of my Read Tortall read along that I am doing. This is book 3 in the Protectors of the Small Quartet. The title is almost self-explanatory. It is Kel's years as a squire. She's slowly becoming accepted as the follow-up into everything Alana did. She still gets a lot of pushback for the fact that she's a girl, but she's starting to come into her own in this book, and I really enjoyed it. I probably like this book more than I liked it the first time around. I'm saying that a lot about this series because This series, I wasn't a huge fan when I originally read it, but now that I have some age and some experience, I relate to her a lot more than I used to, which I think is what is really pulling me back into this series. And in this book, you see a little bit of some of the things that are going to be happening later in this world. Now, this didn't complete any challenge. This was actually just shoved in there for my 7 books, if I ever managed to get to that. So for now, it is my 6th book that doesn't meet any challenge, because unfortunately I didn't get 7. Then for Rama in the title or author's name / combo of both, all of the above, I decided to squeeze in This Shattered World by Amie Kaufman and Meagan Spooner. This was nowhere near my TBR, but I was just in the mood. This book came up. I have the last book in the series, so I'm trying to read up to that, so it makes sense for why I have it on my bookshelf. This came up at the library. I said yes, and so I read it. This is the story of Jubilee and Flynn. Jubilee is one of the soldiers on Avon, and Flynn is one of the rebels. So you can see where there's going to be conflict in this story. Now, Avon is a planet that is in the middle of being terraformed. For whatever reason, the terraforming has stagnated, and the situation on the planet is just not good. I did enjoy this story. I love the sci-fi aspects that Amie Kaufman and Meagan Spooner are bringing into this Starbound series. I struggled a little bit with Flynn. Flynn is supposed to be this rebel who is very politically minded and not necessarily wanting this conflict to come to head. He wants to solve this diplomatically. However, Flynn can be very, very dumb when it comes to political situations. And unfortunately, I couldn't help but shake my head at the thought process that went along with Flynn's thinking. Some of his decisions just didn't make sense at all for what he wanted to accomplish. It was almost counterintuitive, and that just pulled me out a little bit. It is interesting to see the overall story plot develop in the 2nd book. I'm interested to see where it is going in the 3rd book. I did like this one more than I liked the 1st book. The first one I found a little too cliche, and a lot of the things were very, very familiar to me for other sci-fi reasons. This book I enjoyed a little bit more, and I think it's because I like Jubilee, and I kind of like Jubilee's character. I don't know what the next book is gonna bring. Hopefully I like it, because that is currently the only book of the series that I own. And last but not least, I picked up Turtles All the Way Down. This is for my mental health representation. This, of course, is by John Green. This story is about Azza, who starts this journey into trying to figure out this mystery behind this billionaire who has disappeared. She used to be friends with the billionaire's son. Through a series of events, she's starting to realize what is happening in this billionaire's life, and she is dealing with a lot of things in her own head. Azza has what she calls thought spirals, in which she just fixates on one thing and she spins and she spins and she spins. This results in her spending a lot of time in her own head fighting off different mental demons, and throughout this journey she is heading towards a very, very dark place. I will warn you that this book can contain triggers for a lot of people who deal with a lot of mental disorders or just depressive thoughts. This book was a doozy for me. I really liked how they handled Azza's mental state and how it was written and how it was done. There was a lot of things that I connected with personally. Wasn't so keen on the billionaire storyline. It felt a little weird at points to me. Maybe it's because I don't understand that life at all. But for the mental aspects of this story, I really liked it. And those were the 6 books that I read for Read-O-Rama. Unfortunately, I did not get to the host pick. I had requested Starry Eyes from the library, and it never materialized. Unfortunately, it's probably still sitting in my requested list or in the catalog. Maybe someday I will pick up that book if it ever gets purchased by my local library. But otherwise, I think I did fairly well. Tell me down below if you participated in Read-O-Rama, what your favorite book was, or if you have read any of these books, what your thoughts on these books were. And I heard your beautiful faces. Bye.